Done. That was very easy. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining so early in the morning. I hope there will be other people joining in a bit. So the objective of this hour that we have is to just start a conversation, a very open, honest conversation on the topic of gender equality, gender diversity in the workforce, starting from the experience of one of our, let's say, mentors throughout the whole IS organization. So a quick anecdote. One day I was in university, there was classes, but hard to concentrate because I was just thinking about IS. Like I always had in my brain, like say 70% thought about IS. The rest was like, okay, a little bit uni, a little bit other stuff. Always thinking about the international session. I was crazy. So I go on LinkedIn and I'm like, okay, I am going to look around and see who is talking about this topic because we want to involve people from other generations because we're all about intergenerational dialogue. It doesn't make sense if we separate the conversation. So somebody liked a post of Sara and I see her and I'm like, whoa, this lady is very cool. This woman is very, very cool. So I decide to write her and explaining the IS. And as you know, when you explain EYP, who understands at the first time? Nobody understands. It is so hard to explain. They don't react. They either don't react or they think you're doing Model United Nations and they're like, yeah, I know what that is, but they don't. And Sara got it. Like she wrote me back and said, call me, let's speak. I'm very interested. So I called her and she was so excited. And you have to imagine that when you're like looking for 300,000 euros to finance the IS and you're like at 5,000 and somebody says, yes, I believe in you, you can make it. That just completely just lifts your spirit up and makes you feel like you're actually not crazy going knocking on people's doors. So that's how we met Sara. And it's been 2 years or so that she's been following us and mentoring us and helping us through the storm of the coronavirus, doing continuous Zoom calls with us, helping us, giving us ideas. So she is, we would say, it's an underestimation, but she is the fairy godmother, saint, patron of the IS. So think of her like that. She knows you more than you think she does. And she's just an amazing human being that it is so exciting to present to you this morning. And we're going to be starting from her conversation, from her experience to begin this conversation. So first of all, Sara, I welcome you here. Thank you so much for being here. And my first question is, please tell us who you are and tell us how in your life experience you've had to deal with gender bias and gender discrimination. And then from there, I hope that the conversation can open up freely. So any questions that we have, for example, I am very, very curious in understanding this topic in a very humble way, because I feel like in the last period, it's been a topic that has been growing to an extreme where people think that in order to affirm gender equality, we have to think that women are now better than men. And I understand where this is coming from, but I wish we would, I don't know, I'm very curious to understand better with you guys, honestly, in a very humble way. I think it would be a great conversation to have together. 36 countries hopefully connected right now. And so I'll pass the word to Sara, and then throughout the conversation, feel free to unmute, write in the chat, whatever you want. It's super open, and I'm very excited. So enjoy your coffee, and Sara, the word is yours.
So thank you, Caterina. Thank you, first of all, because your mail 2 years ago gave me so much hope that the world is going to be a better place, because people like you and you all, guys, I mean, I don't have the opportunity to talk to you individually, but as soon as your mail reached me, I start to have this 70% of my time thinking on how to help you. And I can tell you, in the middle of the night, I said, I could talk to this guy. We could do this, that. Remember? It was just kind of a flow of ideas. Some went in a positive way, some were not feasible, but it gave me a sense of a purpose. You know, so the reason why I believed so much in you as a team is that my experience is based on this is very linked to what I am. I come from a very simple family. My parents are from Venice, but they moved to Brianza, which is north of Milan, and moving from another region, Italian region, to these little hills with very close people was like being foreigner. I was born there, but they still think I am a foreigner. I am 52 years old because I'm tall. I'm different from the average of, I don't speak the dialect. So I felt different because of where my parents came from. Then finally we moved to 4 years to Paris, international school in Paris. And so there I was everybody was different. And so it was a fantastic place. So this European network brings me back to the values of working together, it was extremely difficult to be accepted, but I was less severe with myself being in international environment. So those 4 years were a turning point in my life. And then when I had to come back to Milano because my parents didn't want to do this kind of life, and I wasn't brave enough to find myself a job like someone of you did and do, and then work as an au pair. I was not ready to this point. So I had to come back and suffered a lot. But this is mostly because, so in my belly, something was ready to help and provide everything I can to make this possible. Okay, having said so, as I told you, my father and my mother come from Venice, especially my father from a very poor family. There were 8 kids. So both of the parents had to work. And they also had in same house 2 other grandfathers. So there were 12. And there was not much to eat. And so the mother of my father had to work hard, giving birth and going to work. So when my father got married, the only thing he asked my mom is, you will never go to work, because I suffered so much as a kid not to have my mother, so you will stay home with your kids. And my mother left her job. It was a simple job, it was far away in years where you didn't have the phones. You need to have a lady who pick up connecting the phones, like in the old movies, black and white movies. So she did this kind of job, very simple, but she was proud of herself because she could use her languages. She didn't speak languages in order to connect, especially foreigners, to make their phone calls. And this is the background. I'm the first girl, boy and girl. So I had to fight with everything. I love my father. I love my parents. Really, I love it. But I had to fight everything. So I got my driving license. I couldn't drive his car. I have to drive my mother's car, which was a small Fiat Uno, a small one. My brother, the same age, got his driving license. Please have my father's car. So a lot of this stupid but continuous, that the boy is the one who will get to the name of the family. I mean, it was so inner in the culture of my father. And so I had to fight. And my mother was there. She said, no, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. So I went to high school, graduated in economics, and I got married. And I wanted to have my independence. So I started at KPMG. I didn't know what KPMG was. It was a very tough experience, because when I started, it's kind of you heard of BCG yesterday, no? So a kind of pyramid. You have a lot of newcomers, and then every year you have a little step, and on top there's partnership. yesterday morning, I think, or yesterday, someone yesterday talked about visualizing things. I think Caterina had a very clear view of what KPMG is now, which is 27 years later than I started with them. I took Caterina to present this project to my former boss, and then he invited us to have lunch with them. So we went to the restaurant, the partners restaurant, and the scene I was used to, because I know everybody was, I think, 100% men dressed in the same way, more or less same age. And when Caterina entered with me, I mean, they still remember me, so hi, but they were shocked to see a girl, young, sitting at the table, because they were just, who is this? Okay, so the bosses are, now it's, I think 10% is women, but when I started, there were only men, not only at partnership level, but also just below. So I started as a junior at KPMG, and my idea was, yeah, we're right. I will just see how it looks like, but there's no room for me here because there are no women. I want to have a balanced life. And I can tell you it's extremely difficult. Maybe you already had started with your professional lives, and it's really demanding. And if the game is the one who leaves the office later is the smartest, it is a very difficult game, because I think I'm reasonably smart, but I am such focus driven on my thing I have to do. I don't take 5 stops, or I don't smoke, I don't drink coffees every hour. I'm focused. When I'm done, I'm done, and I go back home to live. And this was something that people don't understand, still don't understand. So I started as a auditor, external auditor. Then I moved to M&A, acquisition, extraordinary operation. Then forensic accounting, which is very, very interesting. And then I was 29, and I decided to have my first kid. So I had to tell my boss I was pregnant. So I was kind of smile and okay. I was leaving to go on holiday, okay? Having a kid was extremely important to me, because it made me feel I was really worth something, because I could create a life and have a kind of balanced life between work and home. But the very shocking thing was when I decided to have my second child. And then my boss looked at me and he said, it was a mistake, really. Was it a mistake, or you did it on purpose? And these are things you as a man, you will never hear, okay? So this was back in 2000. And when I came back to work, after Filippo, my second child, was born, I moved to the sustainability practice, which was just starting to have a kind of life. And I left my previous boss, because he had decided that I was not dedicated to work. Okay? So I'm talking too much, but and then I kept on working and balancing my life. After a few years, I divorced, so it was not easy. But on one side, I managed to organize all the meeting I had to attend in different towns in Italy, around Italy or Europe, in the days where the kids were with the fathers, so I could focus on work properly. It's just a kind of you have to manage your time in a proper way. You can have kids and you can have lives and you can work and you can be a very serious professional. But if the environment thinks that if at 7 p.m. you're leaving because you've been doing everything you plan to do, and this is what I did. I wanted to have my children having dinner with me every single night. Okay, most of them every night. Then you perceive that the one who's not fully dedicated. And my male colleagues, sorry guys, I'm not nothing against you, but just to show, women will never stay at the office. I mean, my colleagues, women colleagues, girl colleagues, will never spend time in front of the laptop, just searching the net to spend time, just to waste time in order that the boss will leave and then they will leave. I saw it for so many years. It's just cheating. But if you are too, I would say, honest, you kind of break the rules, no? The bias, the unset. So my experience at KPMG was tough. It gave me the strength. It was exhausting, sometimes really exhausting. But it gave me the strength to say, okay, this is not what I want to do anymore. So 6 years ago, I decided to quit my job and start as a, how would you say, self-employed. And I felt like as I left the golden cage, where I had a company car, the insurance paid, a fixed salary every month, I knew what I could count on. I mean, not having a husband is quite, not being rich, it's kind of a comfort zone. But then the strength I managed to find in myself, I don't know, and the fight in difficult times gave me the tools to dare, and also having kids, because I didn't want my kids to see an unhappy mother who's just linked to something solid and but kind of chain, you know. So I say I don't want to be this kind of example of mother. I will do my best to find a different way. And how do you say, luck helps the braves, something like that. In Italian we say so. And I was lucky, and now I really love my job. I feel like I'm genius, because people talk about me, the things, tell me things that I've never been told in 25 years back, because I was not I didn't reach the partner level. So what I did as a profession, yeah, was good, but someone else, mostly male, partners male, had to say, okay, this is done, great job, but not giving me the idea that I was worth it. So I talk too much, but I think just to present myself a bit more. And you asked me something, biases, yes, about kids, about, somebody was talking about the way you dressed. I mean, every time, I mean, I'm told, okay, it's fine, it's not my fault, because the father of my mother came from Croatia, I mean, or Yugoslavia, I mean, so I realized that we are told because of this part of family. And it's okay, no problem. Every time I wore a skirt or trousers or a different color, somebody had to comment on the way I was dressed. And this is, you're gaining weight. And okay, I can tell you, oh yes, when I was pregnant, I was big, but, or you're getting too slim. What's commenting on the way it's extremely tiring. On in a meeting where 10 people were sitting around the table, I was the only girl, and the coffee, I would do it because I'm a generous person. I don't care about, but it is seen like being put in myself putting on a, you know, I don't know how to say this in English, but the kindness can be confused as the opposite of being strong, the weakness. And it is very difficult, because as a person, I like teamwork, I like being useful, helpful, and this is not always understood. So I had to force myself in certain situations just to be a bit tough and not rude, but what do you say, set the point. And still, I mean, people of my age, they keep, I mean, we have chats because we are a team of 5 doing some very serious work in a very serious company. And if we have a chat for practical things, I think it's unacceptable that they send very sexualism jokes offending me and the other lady in the city, in the network. And we tell them once, twice, 3 times. And so that's why I think it's very important that at your stage you start considering this. Last thing, then I just listen to questions. I have, as I told you, a daughter and a son of your age, 22 and 20. I don't remember, a few months ago, I sent an email to both of them on some topic about gender equality, and I don't want to say bad words about my son because I love him. And Filippo answered, "Don't send this kind of stuff to me. Send it to Daphne, my sister. But gender equality, it's not about girls. It's about boys and girls. That's it." And so I'm a failure as a mother because my son didn't get this message. I hope he will find inspiration somewhere else.
Thank you, Sara, for giving us a picture of who you are and of this phenomenon. Thank you so much. And I think we have Tara raising her hand. I don't know if it was an old raised hand, Tara. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was old from the beginning. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, let's open up the conversation. Who wants to go first? Even your experience, like adding on to what Sara said, everybody has a different experience with this phenomenon, and every experience is valid, of course. Every opinion is valid, so just go ahead.
I will just take the chance to say ciao, Sara, and good morning, everyone. I just arrived. I'm having technical issues because I'm trying to connect Sara to this mega TV, but I'm trying to figure it out. But Lucy, I think you were the first one to raise your hand, so go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to add a little bit. Have you ever experienced some issues like from your family or from your inner circle on the journey? For example, like my dad, this is my personal experience, but of course, as you also said, like I love my father, and I feel like he's giving me enough love and support and everything, but I don't know whether he says this as a joke, but sometimes he has the comments like, you won't find yourself anyone like this, or like, just get yourself a rich husband, which I'm not sure whether he means it as a joke, but yeah, this is strongly offensive to both me and to like men as well. And it's also like I am in a private high school, which just is a whole another layer. Like, are you paying for my education just so I will like find myself someone to live from? Or I just hope he takes it as a joke. But yeah, I wanted to ask if you had a similar experience.
Oh, unfortunately, yes, but on one side, it is a way that made me react. As I told you, I'm the first daughter. And my father loves me in a beyond imaginable. But because he loves me, he thinks he knows what is good for me. So when also I went to university and started working, and I got married, and the first years were extremely, extremely tough. So when I was exhausted, he told me, but Sara, okay, you managed, you have a job, you have a husband, why don't you give up everything? He can take care of you. You have demonstrated your father enough that you can make it, and give it up and just relax. There's no point. But this is meant in a cultural way where they think that being cleaning the house and taking care of the kids is more than enough for us. I don't want to say that everybody needs to have the same dreams. But what I think about gender equality is that everyone should be entitled to understand which are his or her dreams, and try to have an opportunity to pursue, how do you say, to reach these dreams. Okay, so first of all, so when then things in my marriage didn't go the way I wish, or we wish we go, so we start thinking about divorce. Then my father was crazy. What do you think? Well, you're talking about love. Love is nothing. You have a responsibility. You have to stay home. You're weak. You will never survive without a man, without you. Then I think this was and my mother, she was sitting, yelling at him. I was shocked. My mother was yelling at my father because my father said, you just stay in your wedding. I don't care, your marriage, or how do you call it. You have to do this, and that's it. No way. And my mother said, you never give up your job, and you react, and you decide of your. Okay. So this was, and same thing happened. So I managed to survive KPMG, but not because of KPMG, but a working environment with people who were friendly. But as I mentioned, I was, okay, but I managed in a way to be the first one at KPMG Italy, that, at KPMG, they have this up or out. So every year you go up, and then if you don't become partner within a certain number of years, you are kindly requested to change job, and you're helped to find another job, but it's really there. So when I happened to be at below the ceiling, the glass ceiling, they open up a position for a person like me. They ask me to stay forever, not reaching the partnership level, but because they wanted to have a senior manager to deal with the risk management of the company. So I had a boss, which was a partner, but I was 70% dedicated to, was a director in this company. And this was extremely positive for me, because I didn't have to worry about where I'm going to work after this experience at KPMG. But when I decided that it was too much, because I didn't like it anymore. I was bored. I ended always a boss who had to check, or at least say, okay, it's fine, even without watching in detail what I did. My father, I didn't tell him. I waited 2 years. He realized that there was something wrong, that I quit my job because I changed the car. I didn't have the company car anymore. So he said, where is your car? We changed the car. I had to lie to him, because when I was sure enough that I was a good self-employed person, I dared to tell him that and now he is the most, how do you say, orgoglioso, proud man, father in history. But it took quite a long time. So just be patient, listen to everybody, and swallow a lot, and go ahead with your dreams. This is my experience.
Sara, we have a lot of questions actually coming. So I think the first one was Giulia Franchi. She raised her hand a while ago.
Yes. Hi, thank you so much for your talk. It was really inspiring. So I thought of my question actually before you talked about your son. But anyway, what I wanted to ask is if you saw a change in like the attitude of men in the workplace towards you based on their generation. And of course, I was really saddened to hear that your son didn't quite understand the concept of gender equality, but maybe it's, I mean, of course, he's not all men. So let's see if you have something maybe surprising to tell us.
About talking about my son, he's 20 and he has to be, when he's together with his sister, he's always very aggressive against me. I don't know why, but when we are just the two of us, he's a lovely guy. So I also have to change maybe the way to direct information, communicate with him. Maybe if I had only sent email to him, he would have reacted in a different way. This is what I hope as a mother. And what I think should be said is that unless you don't, I mean, you can have some issues at high school or school, university, but I think the gender equality problem is bigger when you start working. I mean, this was my experience. So unless you don't start for real to be in a working environment, you don't feel it. On my side, in Italy, we had this law that requires that boards and statutory board and directors boards of listed entities should have at least a third of female participant directors or statutory auditors. So I had the opportunity, because of my very long professional path and my strong professional things and luck, because of course luck is part of it. But I started working as a director, independent director, non-executive director in a small listed company with which is part of a family history. So it is a listed, but there's the boss. The boss is a man, of course, and women. The other two women in the board are the sister and the mother. The sister doesn't speak English, and the conversation are all in English. And the mother, she's the founder. She's 82 now. So I'm the third one. Guess who's always asking questions during the board meeting? So I had to prove that my professional background is as important as my being a female and then be entitled to sit in a board. Okay. So I can tell you, I had quite challenging times where I was not sure of what they were trying to have approved, and I was not feeling good about this. So I raised my hand. I said, "I'm sorry, I think we should go into take more time before making this step." And he started yelling at me, and nobody was talking, of course. But I didn't feel, I mean, I didn't want to be, I just tried to do my best in the interest of all shareholders, not only his shareholders quota. So, and I said, okay, to myself, so it was a very tough fight. But at the end of a 3 years period, the boss, he asked me to continue to be again on the board for 3 more years. So I guess that little by little, if you have, not just because you have to be different because you're women, if you are a professional or serious and you give content, people will appreciate you. But people cannot appreciate you if you can't sit in a board, because nobody is forced to choose also among women. If men continue to have their own friends, hey, jump on, yeah, there's a place, or they all see that. I can tell you, it's really annoying. Men are not challenging. I don't know why, because maybe they have too many links, so they're not really independent, so they don't challenge in the board. Okay, so this is just an example. I could talk for many hours, but I don't think we have time.
We have so many questions. Now, forgive me, but your name to me appears as Caxito2202. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, thank
you're up
you.
next.
Yeah,
Hi.
it's because of my mail. I'm sorry. So thank you for the amazing speech. It was great listening to you. And I wanted to ask about, at one point you said that you were always being nice to everyone, and it came off as like a lot of people thought that you were like weak and stuff like that. And you also said that you had to switch to being more assertive, so that people would take you seriously. And there's a lot of stigma around it for like women in workspaces. Whenever they're assertive, they are painted as like the villains and stuff like that. And especially I know from my mother's experience, because she's in a position of power at an NGO, and she tends to be pretty strict because she wants to get work done. And I've heard from some of their coworkers that, oh my God, she's terrible, she's a villain, she's out to get us and stuff like that, which is not the same for men, which is a huge double standard. So how has your experience been with that?
Listen, to me, as a person, I have to force myself to raise my voice. I mean, this is something really, really makes me. I have kind of made violence on myself to yell or to be rude. But some people need. I can tell you, 5% of my time I need to be not as kind as normally I am. Some people think I'm not a good professional because I'm not, as you described, too tough. I don't care. I mean, at a certain point, I mean, I'm 52. Life is short, and if I am in a balance with myself, if I smile all the time, it's not because I'm stupid, but because I feel well when I'm smiling. So people that think I'm stupid because I'm smiling too much, I'm kind. If there's something missing on the table, I just stand up and pick up the pages and I bring them. They think I'm stupid, no problem. They think my substance, to the quality of what I bring, I think, to being honest. I don't want to think you to think I am too much, come si dice, ho troppa overesteem of myself, but I mean, I know more or less what I can give. And on the other side, men tend to raise their voice because they're not women as well. I mean, okay, let's talk about women. Partners I have seen, they think that to be in a top position means to be tough. I mean, if you're not tough, if you're not screaming, if you're not stressed, if you don't treat badly people working with you, it means that you're not a boss. This is, I think, independent. Women tend to overdo it because I think they have such a frustration coming from all difficult years to reach the top of the ladder. And so some, unfortunately too many, they don't behave like in a natural way. So you can feel it, but in a more balanced way in businesses, in companies where this, like in Leonardo, I can tell you, I mean, in Leonardo, what I was really impressed that when they say gender equality is a target, that the two C-level ladies they are there, they're not the tough ones. I mean, they are balanced. They work a lot, but in a different, in a normal way, not gender, male or women, not hysterical. So I'm not sure if I'm responding to your question, but at the end of the day, each one of us should find his own inner balance, his own limits, his own awareness of our limits, because I mean, all of us have shortcomings, no? But having to be aggressive or stressful and to show that you're professionally worth it, it's not my style. I mean, I'm not judging. It's not my style. someone will not pick my name because of this. Most of people pick my name because I'm the way I am. You choose. Yesterday I told someone in a talk with A-World, and I say, how can we make company react if they don't behave correctly? People say, okay, we should boycott companies that don't behave sustainably or ethically. And I raised my hand and said, you should also avoid to work in a company where you don't find yourself in a balance with sustainability. And then someone answered correctly, yes, if you can pick between jobs, yes, you can. If you have the opportunity to have different jobs, you can make this choice, but it's not always the case. Sure, you can start, and then once you have the opportunity, you can change. It takes time. Everything takes time.
Thank you, Sara. Now we have Ruby Murphy C4.
Hi, I was just wondering about your opinion on gender quotas, like you were talking about, requiring a third of women to be on the board. Does that change the general atmosphere of like male domination still, or have you found it to be ineffective? I was just wondering. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I was completely against this law. When this law was passed, I said, I don't want to have somebody else help me to demonstrate how worth I am, how good I am. But I had to change my mind, because without this, things would have never changed. I would never be sitting on a board or in a statutory board. What happened is that as they were forced to select women, they had to select quite based on content. Sorry, somebody's calling. Just open the door. Sorry. So they had to go through the curriculum, the experiences. So normally, women sitting on boards on this high-level position and non-exam have a tough, solid background. So this raised the level of discussion in the board most of the time, and this provided that in order to have a balance, they had to start thinking also how to have strong men to balance strong women. No, okay, so slowly it starts working, but the way is still long, and the way starts from your age. I mean, we have to change the culture. Rules are like, I mean, you have to have them, because keeping this kind of without any law, it would take 259 years to have a kind of balanced situation between men and women. I think in the UK there's a 30% law also forcing listed companies. My dream is that maybe your generation or your sons, the generation, will not need any kind of law this way, but it will take still long, because my friends are those the guys who were fired because of the restructuring issues. They are commenting and say, yeah, okay, now I can't find any kind of job because of you and your stupid quota gender laws. I mean, I'm sitting where I'm sitting because I studied a lot, I worked a lot. I mean, I did a lot of work to be ready to sit on a board, not just because I'm women. Of course, this helps, but we have to fight to respond also to men that they feel like kind of an excuse. They are excused because they don't get nothing, because they don't do nothing, because anyway, there's this law, which is not helping us. But yes, it's the only way. I'm sorry, but it's pretty important, unfortunately.
Thank you. So Sara, we have like 15 minutes left and we have 5 questions going on. So let's try to get to them, but I also propose that maybe we'll find another moment where we can continue this conversation, even if it's outside the program and it wasn't planned. We'll talk about it and see if we can find a meeting point between our schedules. Anyways, Tetis.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for sharing. I was about to ask the same question as Ruby, but I also have something else that I wanted to ask. So as a STEM student, there are many times where I find that I receive comments, for example, you only passed this class because you're a girl, when you're one of the few girls in the class. And so I realized that no matter how many discussions I have about this, nothing seems to change, which is also what you said earlier. So I've sort of been discussing with the other women in the class how to approach these kinds of situations. And I wanted to ask, what is your opinion on this?
I will tell you something I think very positive, that one of the goals and targets in il Leonardo variable, si dice così, variable remuneration. So the CEO and all the managers are receive an extra remuneration based on the number of STEM girls that will be hired next year. So we have a huge problem with these STEM people, because there are a lot of ethical issues behind a lot of the way of programming and coding and choices that are made, and these are made only by men. So companies are extremely aware, and so you have to be strong, and you will be, what would you say, rewarded, because I can tell you in all my newsletters every day we're talking about companies, public sector, universities are working towards open to girls in the STEM sectors. So be patient. You will be very satisfied in a few years, because I think you will have a lot of opportunities, and you can. But just because you can bring a different point of view to very technical, but there's no reason why this should be only led by male.
Eli, it's up to you now.
Thank you so much. However, since there is little time, I think maybe Oife or Storm raised their hand first. So please go ahead, and then I'll have a chance to ask in another moment. So I think Storm, you can go.
No, I already got to ask at least one thing, so I'll wait in the line.
Then Ife, sorry for the mispronunciation.
No bother.
Or Livia.
Was there anyone else with their hand up before me? Because if there was, they can go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so a bit of like background to like my questions. So when I was in primary schools, so when I was like 11 or 12, I just had horrible experiences with, for example, we would have PE, like gym, and the girls would be told to play like hopscotch, and the boys would get to play football, and the boys' PE would be 2 hours, and the girls' PE would be in half an hour. And the girls had to sit in class, and the boys could do whatever they want in class. So I decided, when I had to make the decision of what school to go to, I decided to go to an all-girls school. So that last 6 years, it's a very good all-girls school. So there's a lot of like, we kind of get told how great we are all the time. So now I'm about to go to college next year, and I'm scared. It's like I have to go back into the real world, and I've just spent the last like 6 years like with only girls, and told constantly like, oh, you're great. And the only negative experiences I've had in terms of gender inequality are with my sports club. But again, I used to get really angry because the boys would always have reports on their matches and news about their matches. So what I did was I started writing all the reports for the girls, and then that problem was solved. But yeah, so do you have any, if you could give me one piece of advice for going out into the real world next year after being just told girls are great for so long?
That would be like traveling to another world. I mean, I love traveling. I mean, I love being in a place where things are completely different, but you are traveling to a world which will be a first step into real world, because enjoy it like you have very solid ideas on how you worth it. I mean, that's the most important thing. It took me almost 30 years to think, oh, Sara, you're very good. You gave birth to Daphne and you're a good mother and you know how to make her everything nice for her. So I was 30 years old when I realized how solid I was, how worthy I was. I think you already done this. So don't let anybody else tell you that you're not worth it. I mean, it's just because they're scared. So those who are in the need of telling you that you're not good enough because they're scared. And I think the comment that Storm made earlier is that when a boy wants to raise his hand or his voice to be part of the gender equality discussion, he has to feel like he feels like more or less like we feel most of the time. So he has to excuse himself or to explain to his male colleagues or students why he's doing this. And I think it's always kind of cultural issues. With a smile on your face and you keep going and you're trying to be patient with those who pull them, they don't understand because they didn't have the opportunity to be close to someone different, so they're scared. It's normal. It's going out of your comfort zone. You feel to be aggressive, you're scared, you don't react, but everybody is just like you, so okay, I keep on being aggressive, but this is not how it will stay for long, I think.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Thank you, Sara. And now we have a message from Livia. A message. Something from Livia.
Shall I take the floor?
Yeah, hi.
Oh. So firstly, thanks a lot for this whole inspiration in the morning. It was much needed to start the day. I had a question regarding the gender discrimination in career path. So I'm at a professional economics high school, and now I'm a senior and I need to decide about the career path and the field I really want to go into economics. And I'm so passionate about finance and accounting, and I think, and my teachers think that I'm really good at it. But I've got everybody telling me that finance is hard, finance is for men, go do some marketing campaigns, or go do some product advertisement.
Just
but
laugh, because this is not, I mean, okay, you listen to everybody, you smile to everybody, thank you for your advice, and you go ahead with your dreams. I can tell you, I mean, they're struggling to find professionals in such a high level in order to be promoted to be CEO, because they're just telling you, everybody like you, just it's to find like sports. So don't listen to these kind of stupid things. It's I get crazy about this because I don't like finance at all. So it's not my problem. But when you have a passion, women or men or diversity in any kind, we didn't touch all the diversity issues. But once you have a dream, you have a supportive environment. Yes, of course, if you're ready to work a lot, what's the problem? I mean, I don't want to be, just because we are short on time, but please smile and go ahead with your dreams. I'm getting really, there's not, I mean, women can give birth. That's the only difference between women and men, okay? Men have something less. They cannot give birth. That's it. That's it. Stick to it. Sorry, Storm, but it's nature.
Storm, do you want to add what you raised your hand up for?
Yeah,
go
actually,
ahead.
because it perfectly adds on to what you just said. Like, how do you feel about? I'm just taking America as example. Women get a lot more privileges. It's wrong word, but I can't think of one else when they give birth. Um, if you look at men, and that's perfectly understandable for one reason, but abortion and the possibility for women to opt out of uh, parenthood, motherhood, like that is an option for women, and they get the choice. But if you look at men, they are not given the choice, and if they have a one night stand, for example, and they knock someone up, and that person is pregnant, then the woman has all the saying in whether the child is born. And if she wants the child to be born, the man has to pay child support. He has no choice, no saying in it. So do you think if women are allowed to opt out of parenthood, should men as well?
That's a really tough question, Storm, because it's about the way I see it, ethics and values. Unfortunately, some women use having children as a tool, as a weapon, to obtain something from men. And this is something. It's like stealing. It's something really awful. So I would consider this as an exception, because even if I think that mankind is moved by positive feelings and things, and manhood would be always better, there are some small pieces of it which are not as positive and ethical as I see. And the description you say, it's very difficult to deal with, because on one side you have the body, you as a girl, and the body, and you have a child. But if this child becomes a weapon that you use in order to obtain something, even in a young age or later on in time, it's something that there's nothing you can do against it. I mean, if I'm not sure that giving you the answer you wanted, but it is so awful that I mean, unfortunately, children, especially when people are divorcing or whatever, are a very easy way to show your power. But I wouldn't go to this kind of thoughts. It's very sad, even if it's like I did everything. I mean, on my personal, on my side, I gave up on. I made a very clear decision in order to divorce. So it was in Italy. If the woman, the wife obtains a lot of benefits, I thought this was not fair. So I'm still paying for half of the house that we bought with my ex-husband. So I have a mortgage. I'm paying it, even if I was entitled to live there until my younger son was 28 under the Italian law. I know I am the exception, but I want to be, as you said, balanced with my values. Of course, I gave a lot of money to this mortgage, but I'm happy. I mean, I don't need money to be negative because I felt like I was stealing, even if the law was on my side. So I don't think I'm the right person to ask this question.
Thank you for the answer, anyways.
Thank you, Sara, and thank you, Storm. So we actually have two more questions, one from Tara, one from Ilya. We're a little late, so we have to keep them under like 3 minutes and a half maximum, and then we have to take a group picture. Hopefully Becca's here and can hear me. And then Sara,
Yes.
we'll try to maybe schedule another call,
Sure.
and we'll let everybody else know if we manage to find the time, because this was just so insightful, amazing, incredible. So I'll let Tara speak and Ilya, and then really quickly, guys, and then we'll start again, hopefully when we find another moment.
Yeah, mine isn't really a question. It's just maybe like a response to Storm that could provide some insight or something. Obviously, it's only quick because we're out of time, but in regards to the abortion thing, I think it's a lot more complex than just opting out, because obviously if the husband or the father of the child does then want the baby, the long-term impact on the woman, on her body, her psychological state, like her whole being, is a lot more than just on the male. Obviously, there is also effects on the man. That's not taking away from what the men go through, but yeah, I think it's a very complex issue that needs more than 2 minutes to discuss.
We'll keep that for our next round. That was completely unplanned, but I think it's necessary. Ilya?
Yep, I just also wanted to add on that. First of all, thank you for your speeches today. And I wanted to add that, in fact, men have a choice both legally in this plan. And as Tara said, I can completely agree that there is a lot more of things to be involved and taken into consideration in terms of women's health and everything for men to take decision either to make abortion or not. But if you don't want to be responsible for the child, if you think that you can't afford it or do something at this moment of your life, there is always legal possibility. I don't know if it's in this country, but for example, in Ukraine, you can write the paper that you legally say that, like, you take your responsibilities away from your child. Then you don't pay anything, then, but you also have, like, I don't want to say you don't have rights, but you have no connections to that person. But here we come again more to the moral and value side. So I think that it's indeed completely difficult story and different story, but it, for me, it always goes back to morals. And
so no one can judge anybody. I mean, I think it's so personal.
Yeah. All right. So we're super late. We don't want to keep you at like the border with committee work. We want you to have a second to blink your eyes and then transfer to committee rooms. So Becca, I'll leave the floor to you, and we can take a picture. Guide us through the process.
Yes. Hi, everyone. So in order to take a picture, I would ask everyone who is comfortable in being in the picture to turn on your cameras. If you're not really comfortable in being in the picture, then turn off your cameras. I'm gonna take a couple of pictures and just smile in the first place. And now you can also wave or do something, a movement or something, so that it has more action. Amazing, thank you. I'm not gonna take much of your time.
Okay, so thank you, Becca, so much. And thank you, Sara, for being here. Thank you to all the 42 participants that joined at 8:45 in the morning to talk about gender equality and gender diversity in the workplace. Thank you so much. What? Sorry?
7:45 some places.
Exactly. Not even counting the time gap. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. And we'll let you know in the general channel if we are able to schedule an extra call to talk about this. Thank you, Sara, for everything you've done in the past 2 years and for being here today.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Keep on working like you do, because you're the future. So please smile and go ahead if you have a dream. It's very difficult to have a dream. Once you have it, just stick to it. Okay.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Everybody, good luck in committee work. See you tonight.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Enjoy your day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.